Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NAA iSeries webinar. I am Erin Ships, Director of Marketing Communications for the National Auctioneers Association, and I would like to thank you for joining us for today's iSeries about online marketing. Through iSeries, the NAA shares free auction industry insights. As the world's largest association dedicated to auction professionals, the NAA educates and represents the interests of thousands of auction professionals worldwide. Today's session will be presented by Jason Roski. In the last 2 years, the KC Auction and Appraisal Company has more than doubled its sales, and Jason attributes a large portion of that growth to its use of Facebook and other social media. Today, Jason will share some of his daily routines with Facebook posts and how to get organic reach that will make your pages, ads, and businesses more effective. Jason has spoken twice at the NAA's conference and show, to several organizations, associations, podcasts, and dozens of media outlets about social media, antiques, auctions, and business in general. The KC Auction and Appraisal Company has earned Best of Kansas City Auction House 4 of the last 6 years. Throughout his presentation, please note that you may take part in the conversation. Type and submit your questions at any time, and we will get to as many of them as we can during a brief Q&A period. After that, we will also ask you to please take part in a very short 3-question poll. With that, Jason, welcome and take it away.
Thank you so much, Erin. Let me go and pull up my screen here. That one. That should have been on full screen right there. So thank you so much for watching today. What the hell? Of course. What's going on here? All right, so we're going to talk about how to make Facebook work for your business today. We use Facebook every day in our business and have great success with it. And so we're always looking at ways to make that better for us and for our customers. Real quick overview we're going to be talking about today is Facebook still important, what to expect from your posts, what you should be posting, and what you should be doing with those posts. Is Facebook still important? You might have heard the hashtag, hashtag delete Facebook. Every couple of months, a new scandal happens, a new story comes out that Facebook has issues, and they do. But the reality is that Facebook is not dead. It is still a very, very active and mobile and important aspect and tool for your marketing platforms. You can see here, the Pew Research Center just in February of 2019, this year, did a study and found that 69% of US adults use Facebook, at least often enough to say yes to the question. Second only to YouTube at 73%, and almost twice what Instagram gets at 37%. And of those who use it, 74% use it daily. Well, how much time do they spend on there? Well, according to this Recode study of US Android users, almost an hour a day, and that's just on their Android. That doesn't include time spent on their laptop, desktop, or other sources. So basically, Facebook has taken the place of TV. People are spending time watching Facebook, interacting with Facebook, getting the news from Facebook, and finding product there as well. Again, 69% of US adults, there's 209 million adults in the United States. That means that 74% of that is 145 million adults use Facebook regularly, and 74% use it every day. What's really important to auctioneers, I think, is 68% of 50 to 64-year-olds, and almost half of those over 65 use Facebook. And those are the people who we're looking for as clients more often than not. They've accumulated assets, they have the means to sell things at auction, and they're coming to the time of their life where they're looking at downsizing or selling a business or selling the farm or just reorganizing, paying for kids, grandkids, college. And so they're looking at selling things, and they usually have things that are worth selling, and auctions can absolutely fill that role for them. So what can you expect from your posts? And we're talking a lot about posts today. If you want to talk about marketing and advertising, I highly suggest taking the AMM course through the NAA. John Schultz and Robert Mayo do a great job with that class. There's a lot of resources online. But we're talking about organic reach here today in your posts. And Hootsuite did this study last year and found that 6.4% is an average organic reach. I've seen numbers as low as 2%, which was seems like an anomaly. Most fall in the 5 to 7% range, which is exactly what this comes out to. So if you have 1,000 followers on your page, expect 64 to respond to a post on average. We're seeing better than that at the KC Auction and Appraisal Company. We have 7,900 followers. We only do about an auction once every 3 weeks, so we don't have a ton of volume. The more auctions you do, the more followers you will probably have. But you can see we had 50, in the 28 days ending December 1, we had 59,000 post reach. We did 56 posts during that time frame. So that's a 13.5% organic reach on average. That's more than twice industry norms and things like that. This does not include, if you look down here in this list, the Toy Shaw Estate has a nice collection. Green Depression Glass has 3,300. So I shared that to several different groups. It doesn't include, when I share it in the organic reach, it doesn't include if we boost a post, which we do on occasion. We'll talk about that. But it does include if somebody else shares it or comments, and the engagement obviously drives a reach. So on average, we're at 13.5% organic reach. So what are we posting to Facebook to get that kind of a response? So we do a lot of shared content where our business is antiques, estate items, jewelry, things like that, artwork. So we're talking to a lot of, late baby boomers, senior citizens about what they have, how to get rid of it. Nobody wants your parents' things, that whole conversation. So when I find an article like this that the Seattle Times put out about a downsizing party where this couple invited people into their home and just gave them stuff, it resonates with our customer base, our client base, and our potential client base. And so we just posted this one morning, and you can see it had 16 shares, 1,700 reach, 50 people responded to it. That's 22% organic reach, and these are all free. Local interest video. This is Big Boy Steam Engine. Left Kansas City. There's one of 2 of these big steam engines running around the country yet. Neat story. A lot of restoration work has been done on these. I happened to be driving by Union Station on the way to the office and realized I was leaving the station in literally like 3 minutes. I parked the car, got out, took a quick video, posted it. You can see it had 1,800 views, 27 shares, 25 comments. Over 3,500 people were exposed, reached this post, and it was just really a spur of the moment kind of a thing. And these are all really important to my business and to yours as well. Local interest is really important. Michelle Klein, who's the vice president of Facebook Global Business Development and Customer Marketing, is quoted as saying, people live their lives within a 25-mile radius. And that is true for most of us. Obviously, if you live in New York City or LA, your radius is smaller. If you live in the middle of the country, your radius is bigger. But the reality is our radius of people that we interact with, that our customers and clients interact with, is really localized. We do have people from all over the world following our page, but 90% of them are probably within 50 miles of us here at the office. We do Facebook Live video regularly. I do Behind the Gavel with Jason every Friday morning at 11:45. And we talk about product, like we talked about Art Deco bronzes here. We've talked about the business of auctions. We've talked about having family discussions with your kids, grandkids about what you want to have done when it's time to sell the family home. All of those kinds of things. That's something we do every week. And this one here, a couple weeks ago, 13.75 organic reach. Again, twice the average reach of an organic post. And we do nothing but put these out there. And it's such an important thing. The last one I'm going to show you from us personally is a product picture that wasn't an item for sale in an auction. It was while we're doing the catalog work. I showed all these pictures of different angles of this piece of furniture. And if you do catalog work, you understand how important the pictures are. So we just asked our customers, what would you like? What resonates well with you? And again, 2,200 people reached 22.8% organic reach. Really, really impressive numbers. And we're actually teasing an item that was in our current auction. Other things you want to post on Facebook: business accomplishments, if you hit a milestone, pictures of product, pictures of your staff, pictures of your office. Have you taken education? Have you gone through the CAI program? Have you taken AMM? Have you gone through the BAS? Whatever it is, or things outside of the auction industry that relate to your business. Of course, your auctions and anything that relates to your business. And you want to make it personal to you. If you get a blanket press release from somebody, make it personal. Why it was important that you went to that class, why you did that seminar, whatever it might be. So what should you be doing with your posts? The first thing is be consistent. If you're posting once every 3 or 4 weeks, kind of haphazardly, you're not going to get any reach at all. You think it's a waste of time. When you start posting regularly, people will expect to find it and see it and engage We have people regularly tell us, enjoy our Facebook page, refer to a wide range of posting items we're selling. We're talking about, we're posting things that are interesting to us and might be to our clients. You want to be consistent with your posts, and it'll drive your traffic much more diligently. You want to be responsive. When you have people on your posts, say things like, if they tag a friend, like we sold these pens. If somebody tagged a friend and said, hey, I think you like these pens, you want to make sure that you respond to that first person and say, thanks for tagging your friend. Ask them if they have any questions about it, because then you're getting two people to see your post and your ad, because every post is an ad. Every post is an elevator speech about whatever you're putting out there. And when I look at the response we're getting now, we're seeing similar responses on single Facebook posts that we used to get from running ads on the Kansas City Star here that would cost us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so we're getting huge reach in our posts, and they're all free. I love working business in a free vein. When people like a post, like something, invite them to like your page. Anytime somebody responds to your page, you have the opportunity to invite them to like your page. And this is really powerful going forward. This is from a podcast that was just published last week that I was on from the Startup Hustle. And we're getting a lot of people who aren't really familiar with our company seeing us because we were on this podcast. I'm inviting everybody who liked that to like our page so they can continue to get information about us. And when the time is appropriate, they can either be a buyer or seller with us. Such a truly powerful tool. And you want to use it. And the other reason you want to do that is because remarketing to people is much more cost effective than marketing to people. I think we can all agree with that. So you can create an audience of those who engaged with your page over the last year. And if you're on Facebook Manager, you can go to audiences. This is an option you can use now. I think it's been around for about a year and a half. And this is really good to promote things like a podcast, like you went through a class and you got a certificate, or you got recognized for something. When we get recognized as being best of in Kansas City, we share that and we promote that to the audience of people who've engaged with our page over the last year, so they're continually reminded of us in a positive way. We do a lot of work between Instagram and Facebook. They're obviously owned by the same company now, and it's really easy. You can share on Instagram and directly share it to Facebook at the same time. And this is an example of that. We use a lot of hashtags there because Instagram is very heavy into hashtags. It also helps on Facebook some because people are used to seeing it, and it triggers a different space in their brain. So we'll take a closer look to it. We use emojis. The woman raising her hand to bid at an auction, things like that. Again, it strikes a different balance. It breaks up the text. And you can see on the Facebook page, we have the link to the Fiesta in the auction right in the middle of the listing. And again, you want to look at these. A great way to make a decent listing bad is to have too much text above your link, and then your link doesn't show up in the scroll. So you want to study that and look at how much you'll see on a mobile device. And at ours, most of that link shows up, and you can actually click on it for sure. Here's the rest of that, and I share this part with you to show you how good pictures are important, but sharing intelligently. We share some of our posts, not all, but we are always sharing to groups and pages that it makes sense to share to. So this page in particular, there's several Fiesta buy and sell groups and collectors groups that I shared it to, a couple of antiques groups. I shared it 8 times. I shared it 8 times. Those other 10 shares, these 18 shares there, are people who shared it in addition to that. And there's been a bunch of comments. 8,300 people reached 105% organic reach on a free post that took me about 6 minutes. 8,300 people reached this. Of course, this number's gone up since then. These are all from a couple of days ago. And so this post right here is actually saving me money because I'm not having to advertise the Fiesta as much in other venues. I've had, I think, 8 people register for the auction just for the Fiesta, just from these posts. And based upon what I'm seeing elsewhere, I don't have to spend money to advertise the Fiesta that I thought I was going to. So I can either spend that money on other parts of the auction or not spend it at all. Because again, I love to get reach and response with free methods. So we do boost on occasion. This is another Facebook Live we did A couple of years ago, we talked about using your china and breaking the crystal to get people to realize that sitting in a cabinet, your antiques aren't worth anything and your kids won't care about them. A good friend of mine, Ed Dooley, our kids go to school together, told me about that. He said, you know, I watched I watched your Facebook Live, and I started using the Hallmark ornaments that he received as gifts as a kid. And if you know much about Hallmark, you know that some of those ornaments have a lot of value. But now his kids look forward to that every year. And so I talked about that in this, and I boosted this post because it was a friend of mine. I thought it was fun to see his name up there, but also because it was relevant to this time, the season. November 1st, people were getting ready to think about Christmas and decorating. And you can see we had 23% organic reach, but also 71% paid reach. And those numbers, of course, still go up. We get people watching videos regularly after the fact. 4,200 views, which is a big number for any kind of video. So why do we do this? What kind of other benefits do we see? So these are ads I ran this last weekend starting on Saturday, the middle of the Thanksgiving weekend. Last year, our ads on Facebook this time of year were between 30 and 45 cents per landing page view. Similar kind of assets. These aren't any better or worse than anything we've sold before. Our pictures are similar. Our markets, our target audiences might be a little bit more refined, but there is a lot more people advertising on Facebook this year. You can see we're at 19, 20, and 24 cents. That's as of 2 days ago. We're actually at 19, 20, and 23 cents per landing page view today. Cyber Monday happened. The holiday weekend happened. And so because of all the work we're doing, that remarketing, targeting, getting traffic to your page regularly, Facebook is in the business of having people spend more time on their website. Every second they have people stay on their website, they get more money because they can show more ads. And when they can show ads that generate interest from people, they'll be much more happy about that. So because of all that, we're getting much better response in our ad sets. Other results, this is from a registration just last week in the comments to the auctioneer. Love your social media, what an awesome looking auction. We get comments like this regularly. We get requests to look at things from around the country. In the last 2 or 3 months, Chicago, Florida, I had somebody from the Philippines ask me to look at pieces of artwork for them. We're getting great results locally and nationally because of our social media presence, and you can do the same. These are all tools you can do every day. Be consistent and work really hard at just putting out good information. And we covered a lot here today. I think I spoke a little quicker than I wanted to. But from my friends here and I, thanks for watching and listening. And do you have any questions? And with that, let's turn it back to the audience, to the NAA staff.
Thanks, Jason. We will now open the floor for questions. If you have not done so already, please submit your question and we will get to as many of them as possible. So our first question, sorry, Jason, our first question, how do you decide which of your posts should be boosted?
So we it's kind of hit or miss with us. It depends upon what Facebook is really good about telling you you're getting a lot of response to this. If you boost it, you'll get even better response. Some of it is driven on what we want people to see, right? When we have good things happen to our company, we want people to know that. So that's we're going to boost that because that's a broadcast thing. It's like hanging the flyer at the grocery store back in the day, and a lot of you still do that. But so we'll boost those kinds of posts. We also boost, we have, when we run ads for our auctions, we usually boost a post there to friends and fans of our page because those who like our page are more apt to be engaged with our page. And the reason is they like what we're selling. And so they're going to be interested in it and they'll be more apt to share it and talk about it and mention it. One of the things I kind of glossed over in talking about what you should be posting to your page is if, things that apply to your industry, if you're selling cars, I would think that sharing information about the Tesla truck release this last week or two weeks ago would be important to talk about. Your customers have questions about that now. How is that going to affect the resale market of F-150s? Tesla, new sales Tesla have affected the resale price of mid-sized luxury cars. So will it affect other pickup trucks? If you're in the ag business, are the trade and deficit questions that we're facing as a country, are affecting your crops and crop values? Are you talking about that on your Facebook page? It sets you up as an expert, as somebody who people want to talk to about the business, which puts you in a great position to talk to them about selling their assets when it's time.
Great, thanks. So if you find an article from someone else's page and you post it on your page, how do you handle that? Do you find it valuable to credit them or shout out to them, kind of building that network that way?
Yeah, so it's not as easy to tag people as it used to be on Facebook. So many people have privacy settings that you can't even mention. You can mention their name, but it's not going to show up. They're not going to get tagged in it. We don't share from people a lot. We share more stories from media outlet like the Seattle Times that I showed, and they want you to share that stuff. Now, obviously, the website's there. Where it's from is right in the post. You can get in trouble pretty quickly if you start taking that content and making it look like it's your own. But if you're blatantly sharing somebody else's article, then you should be fine. I've not heard of anybody getting into trouble for that. But it's when you start taking an article and changing the title and the name and things like that, or not crediting where it came from at all. That's when you can get in trouble, because every media source out there, whether it's TV or newspaper or website, they're all looking for more traffic. So if you link back to their page, that's generally speaking going to be enough. And if you look at the terms and conditions on a lot of these websites, it basically says if you link back to our page or give us credit, you're fine to use it.
Okay, great. In this day and age, would you worry more about building a website or a Facebook page?
Yes. They both serve different tools. They both serve different areas of your business. Your website is good because it holds information in one space forever. Facebook does to a degree, but it's harder to find historic and archived material on Facebook. So we have both. Obviously, we have archives on our website. We have a lot of information on our website, and your website should show up much more effectively on a Google search than your Facebook page. Not that your Facebook page doesn't, but we find that the website still outperforms in that type of a search. So we use, obviously, we're very active on both our Facebook page and our website. We update that with every auction. Our Behind the Gavel series that I do on Facebook Live on Fridays, we upload that to our YouTube page as well, and that automatically feeds into our website. So we have new content on the website all the time, and that's, for Google search, that's important. But we use both and can't imagine not having either one.
That makes sense. Thank you. So what methodology are you using for hashtags, and how many per post do you recommend?
Right. There's, I think the magic number they say is 12 or 13 hashtags. There's Instagram limits how many you can put out there. I don't remember what that is. You know, we have some generics that we use in the antique business. Brimfield is a big hashtag because it's a huge antique market. Round top, things like that. IG design, first dibs, antiques, art for sale, things like that. There's a lot of generic ones. But then we also hashtag, like in the Fiesta post, Fiesta wear, vintage Fiesta, Fiesta dinnerware. We just posted a bunch of Barbie dolls for the same thing. Vintage Barbie dolls, Barbie for sale, things like that. So you want to use, there's some standards that you want to use, and that changes for each page and what you're selling. And you can find those. Spend some time, honestly, spend 2 or 3 hours on Instagram looking at the things that appeal to you and your business, and look at the hashtags that the people are using that are having great success and response. That's going to be harder to quantify as Instagram goes further and further away from showing likes on a page and a post. So I'm not sure how that's going to look in the future, but I think you still can see what's getting good response that way.
Okay, I think we'll have time for one more quick question. And I mentioned this one because I know this is something you've talked about in the past, specifically, Jason, and how Facebook has limited the use of the word auction. Has that made posts less visible, and is it better to use different wording?
So we use auction sporadically in our posts. Obviously, it's in the title of our company. And one of the things that Facebook does, and I'm sure they do this, although there's nothing out there written about it, if you're a page that generates traffic consistently, they're going to look more closely at what you're trying to market and advertise. And the term auction might get a red flag, but it's not going to be as big a red flag. And so I think that's part of the issue. And honestly, the only people that auction makes sense to are people who like to buy at auction, and they're not great buyers for our clients anymore. Auction buyers are looking for a bargain and a deal. And so we use the term, we do use it on occasion, but we actually use it less and less. We use the terms for sale or for sale at auction regularly. And we find much better results because people are looking for items to buy. They're not looking for items at auction. And that seems to be a much better use of verbiage for us. And the thing about that is, Facebook is limiting the amount of space you have in your posts because they want people to see more posts, not more of a post. And so you want to shorten up your script as concisely as you can and still make sense. And the term auction just alienates a lot of people because they're not familiar with auction. They don't know what it is. They're not comfortable with it, but they all know what for sale means. And so we've gotten away where we're using the term auction less and less for that very reason. And also the real estate. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but your phone screen is real estate, and auction takes up a lot of space and doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jason. And thank you to all who submitted questions. This is a big topic, so I'm sorry that we did not get to every question, but we do keep track of them and we will pass them along to Jason. And if he can answer that question for you on a one-on-one basis, he definitely will.
Actually, Erin?
Yeah.
I'm going to go right to my Behind the Gavel with Jason Facebook page in just a couple of minutes. And I'm going to see if I can't pull up these questions I got here and answer them there. And if people want to join me there in just a few minutes, that'd be great. And we'll continue this conversation in that forum because I know there's a lot of questions. I saw some more that we didn't get a chance to talk to you. So after everybody's done with the poll in a minute, head over to the Facebook page Behind the Gavel with Jason and we'll answer more of those questions.
That's great. Thank you, Jason. So it's now time for you to give us feedback on today's session. Please see the poll on your screen and answer the questions as swiftly as you're able. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate today's iSeries presentation? And on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very likely and 1 being not at all, how likely are you to recommend iSeries to a friend? And finally, I would like to learn more about NAA's Digital Marketing Summit in February. If you enjoyed today's iSeries, please consider attending our Digital Marketing Summit in Louisville, Kentucky in February. We're very excited about our keynote speaker, Gary Grant, who is an SEO expert, and attendees will receive an explosion of information, including analyzing social media, marketing data and trends, Google and effective targeting, email marketing automation, marketing your brand, and tons of best practices. For more information, visit auctioneers.org/marketing summit. As we close, you will receive a link to today's webinar emailed by the end of this week. In addition, current NAA members can log in and access iSeries archives at auctioneers.org/iSeries. Your next iSeries webinar will be Wednesday, February 5th, 2020, and will cover the art of negotiation, so please be sure to tell your friends. We will send specific information on that in the near future. Thank you again to Jason for sharing his insight today, and thanks to all of you for taking part in NAA's iSeries. That concludes today's webinar, and have a great day.